Friends, myself Jagadish, lecturer in zoology, KBD vehicle Nirakarpur. This time I am going to discuss about menstrual cycle in human female. Menstrual cycle is the discharge of blood, mucus and cellular debris from the uterine walls along with ovum during the reproductive life of women. It is a natural periodical process and it brings about changes in the female reproductive system and prepares it for pregnancy. It lasts about 28 days. It starts at the age of 12 to 13 years and lasts up to 40 to 45 years when the reproductive capacity stops, and stopping of the reproductive capacity is known as menopause. Let us discuss the changes during the reproductive cycle. The changes takes place in the ovary as well as in the uterine wall. These changes takes place simultaneously and the changes are under the control of estrogen present in the blood. Estrogen is a hormone. The reproductive cycle is completed in two distinct events. The first one is release of single ovum from one of the ovaries, and the second one is preparation of the uterine endothelium for implantation of zygote. The zygote is produced by the process of fertilization. Fertilization is the union of male and female gametes. If fertilization does not take place, the lining is released, which results in menstruation. The menstrual cycle involves two cycles. One is uterine cycle, that is the changes in the endometrial layer of the uterus. The second one is the ovarian cycle. This is the formation and maturation of follicular cells in the ovaries. The uterine cycle, it includes the changes in endothelial layers of the uterus. It is divided into two phases. The phase 1 is the menstrual phase. It starts from the first day and continues up to the 5th day. In this phase, the endometrial lining of the uterus is sloughed off, causing discharge of blood and broken tissue. This takes place in each month. This monthly flow of blood is called menstruation or menses. Here is the picture showing the phases. One is ovarian cycle, then this one is uterine cycle. The ovarian cycle takes place in the ovary. Here the ova is produced and ovulation takes place on the 14th day. The ova is produced in the follicle, that is also known as follicular phase, and that phase continued from the 1st day to 14th day, and on the 14th day ovulation takes place or egg is released. Then the follicles becomes a corpus luteum which produce hormones, and that phase is known as luteal phase. Here the uterine cycle is completed by three phases. One is menstrual phase, second is proliferative phase, and third is secretory phase. This is the picture of the uterine cycle, and it indicates the menstrual phase, that is menses. Here there is the release of blood and cellular debris from the uterine wall. The Damaged tissue is then repaired. That is phase is known as proliferative phase. Then the other phase is the secretory phase, in which the hormone estrogen is secreted from the corpus luteum, and the proliferation reaches its the peak in this phase, and the uterine is again ready for the process of implantation. The second phase is the postmenstrual phase or proliferative phase. It starts from the 6th day and continues up to the 13th or 14th day. It is the period between end of menstrual cycle and ovulation. It is marked by repair and proliferation of endometrial lining, and it takes place under the influence of estrogen hormone, and the estrogen is secreted by the follicular cells. During ovulation process, at first growth and maturation of Graafian follicle takes place inside the ovary. Then the egg is released on the 14th day. During this postmenstrual phase or proliferative phase, estrogen is found maximum concentration in the blood. The contraction of uterine muscle increases during this phase. Let us discuss the ovarian cycle. It is divided into two phases. The first one is the ovulation phase. It is the day 14th. In this phase, mature follicle ruptures and the ripe egg is released. That process is called ovulation. The hormone LH, or that is luteinizing hormone, stimulates the opening of the follicle, and the ovum is released along with the follicular fluid containing estrogen. The next phase is the post-ovulatory or premenstrual phase. It starts on the 15th day and continues up to the 28th day. It marks the end of the menstrual cycle. It is the period between ovulation and menstrual cycle. In this phase, the ruptured follicle become a corpus luteum, which would continue secreting estrogen. However, as the level of luteinizing hormone surges, the level of estrogen lowers. If the ovum is not fertilized, the corpus luteum will continue to secrete the hormone progesterone and estrogen for 14 days before it turns to corpus albicans. These corpus albicans do not get released out of the body with the onset of menstruation. It just stays there and build up. If the ovum is fertilized, the embryo implants itself in the uterine wall and the pregnancy occurs. This much for today.